I'd like to invite our next speaker up, Ruth Miller. Ruth Miller so graciously provides the video that you can see us on, and she's also with the Illegal Protest blog. Ruth always has a lot to say, so I'd like to welcome up Ruth Miller, member of the group.
Well, it's great to see so many people coming all the way to Hazleton on a Thursday night. Initially, I was a little bit hesitant, but Hazleton is where the tide turned for this fight, in my opinion. I remember when I heard of Lou Barletta standing up for his little town in Hazleton and thought, there's hope. There's actually hope for this country. And he's an example for every leader in this country. And there are more and more of them starting to follow his leadership and his example, and it's the best thing ever. But today is a great day to have this rally and be here in Hazleton, because every year they have been marching. I have thought, I want to go out there too and answer them. And until now, we have just said, well, just let them do their thing, and you know, we'll have something later. Well, I think today is the day where we need to counter them and say, we're not going to put up with it. How dare you come to our country as a guest, as an uninvited guest, and demand anything? Is that what you do with your neighbor? Do you go to your neighbor and say, I want food and I want it now because I'm in your house? No, I don't think so. I mean, this is rude behavior, and I'm not going to put up with it. I don't think you are either.
No.
So we keep hearing, you know, from the illegals, well, you know, you invited us. You know, you invited us here. It's like, did anybody here invite them?
No.
Okay, me either. Okay, who invited them? I'll tell you who invited them.
Politicians and businesses.
Right? If the big businesses invited them here as cheap labor, which is really a new form of slavery. And as Dan said, they're trying to say, oh, you know, you're enslaving us, you're oppressing us, we have a struggle. You came here, you paid to come here, you paid a coyote to come here. Don't tell me you're oppressed. If you're oppressed, go the hell home.
That's right. That's right.
It's not the same at all. It's not like slavery. Totally different, and it's just very awful that they're saying that it's the same as slavery. It's terrible. Another point I wanted to make about the businesses crying about, oh, but we need them to pick our lettuce. You know, we don't have anybody to pick our vegetables. Well, if it's really a shortage of people, how come the wages are going down? Because in this country of capitalism, it's the law of supply and demand. When the demand goes up, the price goes up. So if we are having a shortage, like Bill Gates is saying, we don't have enough workers, well, how come the wages are going down by 20% in all of the industries where illegal aliens work, like agriculture and meat packing? You know, obviously, the facts don't lie. There is no shortage, they just don't have enough slaves. Another point I want to make is, a complaint that we hear from them is, it's our fault because of NAFTA. You know, they can't live in their own countries, so they have to come here. So it's our fault, so we owe it to them. Well, you know, this was signed by your government too. Okay? Start in Mexico or start in Guatemala, who also signed NAFTA, and start with your government and complain to them first. Don't come to our country and complain. Start with your own.
That's right.
You know? Get some kahunas. And stand up to your own government. You know? It's like ridiculous to come to another country and expect them to help other people from foreign government. It's just ridiculous. So another point I want to make is La Raza tries to intimidate us. And you know, other groups that are for illegals, like big business, they say we're racist. And their new campaign, because they know now the racist thing's not working, because you know, when it comes from a group called The Race, you know, it's a little stupid. So you can't really point the finger at us for being racist when you come from a racist group. So they had to change. They said, okay, let's call it the Wave of Hate campaign. So I have a message for Janet Murguia of the National Council of Raza. It's not a wave of hate. It's a wave of anger.
That's right.
That's a different thing altogether. And it's a wave of patriotism and love of our country. You can call it a wave of hate and try to label it. But you're going to see a bigger and bigger wave of anger, I'm telling you what. And another thing, here's something. What's the definition of invasion? You know, a lot of people don't want to call this an invasion. They say, oh, because it took 20 years. But here's the definition by the dictionary. It's an infringement by intrusion. That's one definition. An entrance as if to take possession or overrun. An act or instance of invading or entering as an enemy. Are they our friends when they come here and take our jobs and live 20 people in a house? And I don't think so. The incoming or spread of something usually hurtful. It's very hurtful to raise our taxes and take all of our social services and make us wait hours in the emergency room to see for our emergencies while they have a runny nose. An intrusion or an infringement. I think that fits the definition quite well, don't you?
Intrusion, yeah.
Okay, so let's start calling it what it is. It's an invasion. It's a slow invasion, but it's still an invasion.
It's getting faster.
Yeah, it is. So May Day, a lot of people talked about May Day, today's May Day. Well, does anybody know it's a communist holiday? And if you look at all the coverage around the world, you see all this the hammer and sickle and everywhere but here. They want to call it, Immigrant Rights Day, because essentially the socialists in our country, which there are many, are using the illegal aliens as their human weapon to destroy our country. And they're also exploiting the illegal aliens, just like big businesses, and saying, oh, but we're for your rights, workers' rights, the struggle. And it's really, what they want to do is take apart our country and make it a socialist country.
Exactly.
And there are people running for president who are only too willing to help them.
Yes.
Let's call them what they really are. May Day is also, the origin of May Day is it's a distress signal, a nautical distress signal. And it comes from the French word help me. And I think it's very appropriate that we should call today May Day because our country is screaming help me. So, our way of life is being attacked from every angle, it seems. It's like government, we have invaders, we have people taking everything out of our pockets, taking our jobs, and it's beyond illegal immigration, the problem, really, because they're sending this stuff overseas. I mean, every time you turn around, they're sending more jobs somewhere. Who the heck's going to buy this stuff at Walmart if nobody has a job? I mean, it's ridiculous. So, we really have to stop and think, okay, what we're doing is really working. It's very discouraging sometimes, I know, for all of us, because we see so much bad news, and we see, once again, another politician like Christopher Christie saying it's not my job, to enforce immigration law. So we have to reflect on the things that we have done, that defeated amnesty last year, which was a huge, that was us. That was no politicians. They're a little bit late to the game. We defeated the attempt of New York to give out the driver's licenses, and we made them backtrack. That's a huge success. Every day you hear of more states that are passing stricter laws, and I think it's a great thing to see states starting to take control, because this is, after all, the United States of America. This is how we were founded. We were not founded by one big federal government. We were a collection of states, and we are united. And it's about time that we see more and more states acting united and for this country instead of on their own, and having sanctuary cities. So I think that's a good sign to see the states saying, okay, federal government, you're not going to do your job, and we're going to do it. And that's the right way to go.
Yep.
And we actually have a little more power there.
Yep.
We're seeing more 287G. We're seeing more and more sheriffs and law enforcement saying we want 287G. It's being fought, but that's a good sign.
Yeah.
And we're seeing more politicians get tough. Sometimes they get tough because they just want to get votes. But a lot of them are actually putting something behind that, and it's a good sign. So I think we should reflect on our successes and move forward and keep the energy, because we have a little bit ways to go yet before we've won. We have a lot more battles, but we have momentum behind us, and let's not let it die down. So I say to Hazleton, God bless you for being the start of everything, and God bless the United States of America.